Everybody, welcome to Busy Living Sober, Busy Living Life, Busy Living Sober, Busy Living Life. I'm here with JF and he's laughing at me. Hi, everybody. It is episode 289. Who would think we would have 289 episodes? Did we ever think that would ever happen? I didn't think that was going to happen one day.
I have to be honest with you. I listened to 288 last week, so I was kind of thought 289 was coming up.
Okay, there you go. And you're here to share with us, and I'm excited about that. And today's topic is, what are we planting? And we are sponsored today by SoberLink. SoberLink, as we know, addiction is a serious issue that needs to be addressed. Nearly 15 million people in the US have an alcohol use disorder. That is alcohol alone. Only 10% of those people get help. This can be attributed to the stigma. Just like Busy Living Sober, we want to change the stigma, so does SoberLink. SoberLink strives to erase the stigma of alcohol addiction. Their remote alcohol monitoring tool has helped over 500,000 people be more accountable in their sobriety. I've teamed up with SoberLink to create the resource guide, Tips for Keeping Busy Living Sober for those in recovery. If you visit www.soberlink.com/BLS, you can download the resource guide. And if you or someone you know can benefit from accountability for alcohol recovery, you'll also find a form on that page to get a $50 promo code. That's a $50 promo code. So if anybody's looking for this device, it can totally help you out to be accountable to your family, to your courts, whatever it is you need to be accountable to. But check out soberlink.com. So thanks, SoberLink. So here we are.
Here we are.
We're down to brass tacks now. We got the business done.
Brass tacks. Wow. How about that?
I sounded kind of important right there, didn't I? So I have especially been planting a lot of plants recently because it's spring here in North Florida. JF said, I think your topic this week should be planting. And so what do you think about planting when it comes to recovery?
Well, you talk about in your stories all the time. There's a couple of things you like to talk about. Planting seeds is one of them. You also love to talk about, having good roots and the palm tree, and there's all kinds of stuff that goes along with that. So I think there's a lot of those, and for me it's really about planting seeds, because that's what so much of recovery is, I think, anyway. At least for me, I know that I didn't know anything about recovery. I wasn't the least bit interested in recovery. I could care less about recovery, and I ended up in recovery. And the thing that kept me really was, just that seed of hope that I saw when I first got in. And I didn't realize I was hopeless. I had no idea, but it was that seed that just kept me in there, and it kept me coming back. And it kept me around, and it's kept me around for a very long time. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for the people that planted that seed in me. Because that's all it took, That's amongst other things that we can talk about.
Well, I think that it's interesting because you brought up a couple of things that I want to talk about and go deeper with. So the planting of the seeds, I think that, like you said, you didn't realize you're hopeless. I don't think we realize how really hopeless we are when we decide that alcohol has kicked our butt and we need to do something different with it, and that we might need to actually break up with booze. And I think when we get to that place, and we then determine, oh my gosh, that was my God. At least for me, it was like, it was everything was a party. It was all about the party. And my party was not only, I still love the party, the actual being with people. I love that. That's like my thing. I love people. I feed off people. I feed off the energy. I love parties. But the booze part, was the part that became so hopeless. What I became so hopeless with, because I didn't understand what was wrong with me. I was like, what is wrong with me? Is it that every time I have a glass of wine, I need to have 47?
And see, I never even gave it that much thought.
No, this is after the fact. This is not right. When I came into,
because I can really relate, because I had a lifestyle that I had been living for a long time. And, I thought, that, on a deep level, I thought that booze was the answer. Like I thought that this is a thing that always fixes my problems. Whenever, whatever it is, have a drink, makes it feel better, makes it go away. And for me, I couldn't understand why it was making everybody around me so upset. That I was drinking was making them so upset. I didn't get it. Like, didn't they understand that this was the thing that was, that was fixing me? And, I think it's one of those things where when you live in a crazy lifestyle, whatever you want to call it, when you are living in the craziness, it becomes normal. And so you can't see that it's not normal. So, like I said, I had no idea that I was hopeless until I came into AA. I had never really thought about, I never seriously contemplated stopping drinking because it just didn't, like that idea didn't seem like a good idea. That was my solution. And I didn't realize that it was my problem. And I really didn't know it until I had been in the rooms for a while. And they talked about a life beyond your wildest dreams. And it dawned on me in sort of a lightning bolt fashion that like, oh my gosh, I haven't had a drink in whatever it's been, 4 months. I haven't been drunk in 4 months. I haven't been in trouble in 4 months. I haven't had any problems in 4 months. And, for me, the real key was I haven't been drunk in 4 months. And I could never put together the fact that drinking was getting me drunk. Like I could not make that connection. I just thought it was something else that I was doing wrong, that kept getting me there. I had no idea that it was actually drinking. And I didn't know until in that moment, I didn't know that, wow, I never knew that I could live without a drink. Like I didn't know it. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think anybody did it. And that was the hopelessness that I was unaware of. I was really stuck in that life. And if God hadn't intervened in my life, I would have stayed stuck in it. There's no question about it. Left to my own devices, I would have, I couldn't even see clearly enough to even think about getting out of it.
Oh, I totally agree. I think that, for you, you had a different ending of your drinking story than I did. But, I think that I feel like the first seed, if I were to say the first seed I had that was planted in me was when, I'd had friends that were that stopped hanging out with me so much. So that was kind of a seed. I kind of recognized there's a way that friends had said, or were no longer in my life. They were like, I can't hang out with her. They were normal drinkers and I scared them. So that might've been the first seed. And then I remember one of my siblings, especially, I'm not going to name names, but one of my siblings would say, why can't you just have one glass of wine? What is wrong with you? Why do you always have to push it? And that's another seed that was planted. I was like, why do I have to push it all the time? And then I was like, I can't choose. Like you just said, there was no choice. It was like, once I was in it, I was in it. Mm-hmm. There was no kind of halfway. And I think that is with everything in my life today. It's like, I either go all the way or I don't go at all. That's me. I don't go like half-ass. I'm not like a half-asser. It's not like, with this planting, it wasn't like I did a little bit. No, I worked my butt off till it was done.
It's not the only butt you worked off.
I worked off his butt too. But that's how I am. I'm like, I want it done. And people are always looking at me. I have a dear friend who says, I don't know how you get all that stuff done in one day. And it's because I'm that all or nothing person. I just want to keep it going.
Well, I think that's a real trait of like the alcoholic / addictive, personality is you're either all in or you're all out. And it's nice when it pertains to something that's healthy or positive. It's not so nice when it really pertains to what it pertains to with us all the time, which is obsessive compulsive behavior, that we engage in order to avoid feelings and thoughts and guilt and all the other stuff that goes along with it.
I know for a fact that, that you, my friend, get into that. I'm not so compulsive in that it has to be perfect. I just want it done.
Mhm.
That's my whole thing. I want it done, signed, sealed, and
No,
delivered.
I'm not talking about like that. I'm talking about, if you, I know it's like a broadly about people like us, people get sober, but then they're still involved with like food, sex, shopping, exercise, running.
Well, see, and I don't, but
list
see,
goes
and
on
I
and on
don't,
and on.
now, so I'm going to disagree.
Mhm.
I'm going to disagree with you because I think that's a human trait. I don't think it's an alcoholic trait. I think that's a human trait because I think that then every person has something. Because every person walking on this planet has one thing or another. I don't care if, let's just think about what, like what, I'm not going to get into what's going on really in politics, but there's one person who wants to, take it over. Like, what is he? I don't know if he's an alcoholic, but it's just like we all have something. I just think for me, the alcohol thing, and that's why we all have something. And why do we let booze become like, why do we let it get to the place where we get it to, instead of going, you know what, I have a problem with this. I don't do it right. I wake up and I hate myself. That for, I think, a normal thinking person, and I'm doing this in air quotes for those of you that aren't watching this on YouTube, for a normal thinking person, you're like, well, God, that makes me feel this certain way. I know a friend, I know somebody who was like, I got drunk on tequila once and I'll never drink tequila again. I'm like, that did not stop me. I did not give a shit if I gotten sick on tequila or if I gotten sick of something. I still would be like, especially when I was already like halfway buzzed and they're like, you want this? Sure. I'm a trash can. I'm a trash can when it comes to booze. But, a normal person, I think, would be like, okay. And I've heard people that have said that they're like, I got sick on this kind of drink, so I'll never drink it again. And I'm like, never happened to me like that. Nope. But, I do think that when I did get to that place of going, you know what, because I didn't have handcuffs around you had handcuffs around your arms. You had no way out. You were like, God was like, you're going to jail or you're getting sober.
Or both.
Right. I mean, and that was from a DUI. I mean, I think that when we realize, because alcohol does something to us. I mean, it's a spirit. It spiritually changes us, right? And that was a seed that was planted when I got sober. This has nothing to do with your moral code. It has nothing to do with our moral code. But so many people are scared to go into 12-step programs. I was at a meeting this morning, on a Zoom meeting, and somebody came and they're like, I tried to do this on my own. I tried to get sober by myself. I didn't have any help. I just did it on my own and I just wasn't successful. And I think the reason that is, and I might be wrong. This is my own opinion. This is not the opinion of anyone else, but Elizabeth Chance.
Let's hear it.
Elizabeth Chance has one thought about it. And I think the reason is that we need, as humans, we like to be around other humans. Okay. I don't think I'm alone. And I think maybe some people only want to be with a few humans, where I could be with, I don't care how many, I could be with tons and tons and tons of people and I'm totally fine. I love it. But we need each other. And if we have someone that we can trust, that's important. First is having somebody you can trust. That's another seed I'm going to plant in you guys. Find somebody you can trust, that you can talk to and be honest with. And I think that if you do it by yourself, who are you talking to? Yourself? Okay. Well, yourself talking to yourself does not get you anywhere.
No, I agree with you 100% on that.
Then you're kind of like, it's like, okay, my brain's thinking this, my brain's thinking that. And you're not getting another perspective that says, like, I normally, a lot of people that call me and I help with, I normally find the silver lining on whatever's going on with them, because they owe a lot. When in doubt, the person is self-loathing. Okay. Is self-loathing, has shame, right? They feel bad about themselves. So they're judging others. They feel terrible. And I want them to change the whole way of thinking and go, you know what? You're doing a really good job. You're doing a really good job. Whether or not you're a worker, if you're a mom, if you're a dad, if you're an employee, whatever you have, I want people to turn and look at the huge accomplishment, because not drinking one day is a huge accomplishment. I think sometimes that's lost in the periphery of like everybody wanting to be like like getting to an end and being, I don't know, like checking something off your box. But I think getting sober is not checking something off your box. I think it changes, you know, in life. I think just like life, right? It changes. But I know, like for me, I haven't been going to 12-step meetings as much as I used to. I haven't been, and neither of you. And does it make me think I'm going to drink?
Do I think it makes you think you're going to drink? No.
No. Right now, my life, and I'm going to talk for myself, and then I'm going to have you talk because I feel like I'm talking so much. Surprise.
That's fine.
It's surprise. I'm talking so much. But thanks for bearing with me. But I think that at that time I needed a lot of meetings to go to, and then right now I just don't. And if that changes, I'll go back to more. It's available. You know, there is one right down the street. It might not be what I want, but it's down the street. And when I travel, especially because I love going to meetings in different cities. And why do I love going to different meetings? Because I hear different things. Because my brain goes to, I'm not good enough. I'm a loser. If you knew who I was, you wouldn't like me. That's number one. Number two, I have fear that I'm not going to keep what I have, or fear that I'm not going to get what I want. Right?
Yep.
Those are seeds I picked up along my journey of sobriety. And this fear isn't really, you know, if fear is there, but it's like there's fear here and there's faith here. And either I'm going to be in the faith or I'm going to be in the fear. And I'm the one that's in control of my thoughts. I can say to myself, you know what? I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go to the fear. I'm not going to go to the fear. I'm going to go to the faith. I'm going to go, all right, for this moment, for this second, I'm going to believe that everything's going to be okay. Even if I don't know that that's true, and I'm kind of lying to myself, I'm just going to go there.
And then guess what?
What?
At the end of the second, you're like, everything was okay in that second. Let's try another second. You know, same way you keep sober. Sometimes it's a second at a time. Piece it all together and it turns out to be just fine. You know? And
I have so many, and I've watched this so many times with people, again, people I work with and with myself. And again, this is all hindsight stuff, you guys. So if you're newly sober or you're just learning to put down a drink, this might not happen right away. So don't be upset with yourself. Like, why don't I feel like that? It's all baby steps. You're getting these seeds along the way that are going to work for you. Getting these are so important. And so getting these seeds, I'm trying to tell these, I've got stuff coming in. Sorry. But getting all these seeds put together help you along the way. And what I was going to mention is that I have so many people that I work with, and I watch these people and I learn from them, because they say to me, I have women that I work with that are like, oh my God, this is going to be so bad. I'm focusing all this attention on something that's going to be so bad in the future. They're not in today at all. Not in today at all. They're in the future, and then the future happens and everything they thought about doomsday doesn't happen.
Yep.
Doesn't happen. But they've been sitting there focused on doomsday for so long that they forgot to realize all these beautiful things that are happening with them right this very second.
That's true. People will do that. No question about it. I think that's a human trait. You talk about human traits too. I think human trait is to always try to be focused on the outcome, focused on what's going to happen, and think you actually know what's going to happen. And then once you convince yourself you know what's going to happen, then you're really in trouble. Because the truth is, for at least for me anyway, if I look back at my life, you know, in all my wildest imaginations of what was going to happen, nothing that I ever actually did were things that I actually imagined that I was ever going to do. You know, they just happened, and here I am. You know, so I'm totally down with that. Like, I'm good with that. I realize that I'm wasting my time when I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen in the future. I'm just wasting my time. I don't need to waste my time. So I don't do it anymore. But I was also thinking about, you know, what you talked about in terms of, you know, people trying to get sober on their own and it didn't work. And I was thinking to get back to the planting analogy, and that seed of hope that gets planted in me anyway. Like once the seed's in, you're a gardener. You can't just put a seed in the ground and say, that's it. You have to water it. You have to fertilize it. You have to do what you have to do to get it to germinate. Right. And so that's what I was kind of thinking in those, to use our analogy anyways, part of the tending of the seed is really in a simplest way to me is like, it's an ask for help. And so, I may look at something and say, but I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to handle that. And then I can decide I'm going to figure it out on my own. But if I just don't know, I'm never going to figure it out. Right. But I can ask for help. Sometimes if it's stuff around the house, I can just go on YouTube and see how somebody else did it. But I have to see how somebody else did it, which could be like the Zoom analogy. But a lot of times, especially in recovery, I just need to be there and be around people because I need to hear what I need to hear, but I don't know what it is until I actually hear it, and that's what keeps the seed alive, and that's what keeps it going. And that's the other seed that has to be planted, at least in this alcoholic, is, the seed of willingness. And I need to be willing to change. And the biggest change that I have to make as an alcoholic is that I have to be, I have to be willing to listen to somebody else and stop listening to myself all the time and think maybe somebody else has an answer, that somebody else has the right idea, that it's not just me. And I see the evidence of that, especially when I'm brand new and recovering. I look around the room and I see smiling faces and happy people that are successful and living good lives. And I'm new and I don't understand, like, how could you possibly be happy and smiling when, your booze has been taken away? Like, I don't get it, but then I stick around for a little while and, the seed gets tended to and I get it.
And sometimes you hear things, you're like, I don't relate to that, or I don't relate to this, but there's always some nugget that you do get. Mm-hmm. There's some nugget, and it's really planting the seed. And and for those of you that haven't heard my palm tree analogy, because we do live in Florida now, there is this palm tree analogy that I have that, a palm tree is, they're not that big, wide around. They're actually, a lot of them are slender. I'm looking at one out my window. I'm actually looking at two of them out my window. And, they withstand these winds and sometimes even hurricanes, and they just go, and they bend over and then they come back straight up and they look great again. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's how it is for me. I didn't know this when I first put down the drink, but I want to not drink. I want my focus to be on I want to not drink more than I want to drink. Does that make sense? So yes. I want to constantly have that sense of like, all right, I'm okay. And that's because I got these seeds. So my seeds in my basket, so if I went to go harvest my basket of the seeds that I planted, I've got my gratitude list. I have meditation. I have prayer. I have people I can talk to. Mm-hmm. I can go to a meeting if I want to. I can go in person. I can go on Zoom. I can read some stuff. There's always there's so many seeds that fill my basket and make it so yummy, right? Because it's all different, colorful and all different things. And why are you laughing at me?
I'm just laughing at your basket.
Do you like my basket? I like my basket. And, but I have this basket because for a long time, for 1 year, I'm going to tell you, I watered my tree. I gave it fertilizer. I would go to more than one meeting a day. I'd go to 2 meetings a day. I called a lot of people. I'd get pissed. I'd say, I don't want to go to this meeting. I can't stand that person. I can't stand this person. I'd go on and on and on and on and on all the time. But I kept going. Mm-hmm. And that's the key. That is the key seed, no matter what. It's the biggest seed. You plant that seed, like, I am not going to, as much as this sucks what I'm going through right now, this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm. And the truth for me has always been that since I've gotten sober, that not drinking has always been way more attractive than drinking, just not without a doubt.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think anybody goes to this place that they're like, I'm really excited. I know that some of you are housewives watchers too, as well as I am. And I know it's a guilty pleasure, and JF hates it, but whatever. So I was watching Watch What Happens Live, because Andy Cohen's from St. Louis. And he went to the same high school as my dad, just one town over from the high school I went to. And, he had this one, Luann, who's on the Housewives of New York, who's been battling, they don't say she's an alcoholic. I think they do say she's an alcoholic, but last night she mentioned she was an alcoholic, and I have not gone further and read what she did, but I know she's been battling this, and she's doing it in the public eye. And I wish she would find Busy Living Sober, because I think it might help her to go to the fact that what other people think about you is none of your business. If you have a problem with alcohol, it is, I know at times it looks so appealing, but in reality, your same shit that you have going on in your life, and I'm going to curse here, shit that you have going on in your life, because that's what it is, right? We've got bad stuff going on. We all have stuff. Every person. It might not be money for some people. For some people, it might be kids. It might be health. It might be, whatever it is. But everybody has something that makes them go, oh, this is uncomfortable and I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody.
Sure.
Everybody.
Even the Dalai Lama.
Even the Dalai Lama. We all have something. So what are you going to do when you feel like, I hate my life? I'm just going to pick up the drink, and you don't pick up a drink. You don't pick up a drink. Because guess what? That thing that you're going, now you pick up a drink, you get drunk, you get hungover, you wake up the next day. Not only do you have the stuff that made you go, in the beginning, then you have the self-loathing. So now it's even a bigger piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's like even worse.
It snowballs.
It snowballs to this thing that you're just like, oh my God, and I can't ever get out of it. And I'm a loser and this sucks and I'm terrible. I mean, we all can only do this one day at a time. Stay in the day. As I've mentioned many times on this podcast, if you have 1 foot in tomorrow and 1 foot in yesterday, you're doing the splits. And let me tell you, I've never done the splits, because I never could, even as a child, but it doesn't look attractive or comfortable, does it?
Not at all. Does not look comfortable at all.
No. So what is it all about?
Staying in today. Staying in the moment.
Any way you can.
And it doesn't matter. I mean, like you said, it's a lot of it is hindsight. And that's the truth. You've been sober for a while. I've been sober for a while. We've both been through some difficult times. And, but at least for me anyway, I can look back at those difficult times and say, you know what, I got through it and it was fine. And even though X, Y, Z, whatever was going on, it was okay. It all worked out. And here I am, it's all good.
And not only that, I'm going to add something to that.
Mm-hmm.
That when you go through the hard times, which I've gone through many hard times, one of the biggest hard times I went to is when I had to get sober. And when I broke up with booze, that was one of the hardest times. And little did I know that I was going to get this wisdom that's just so magical, that just helps you go to the next step. We're always learning. I never know anything. There's so much to learn. It's like, I remember when we were younger, older people would say, at least I remember older people saying to me, you know what, Elizabeth, the older you get, the less you know. And I think they're totally right.
They are. I agree with them now. Yes.
Yeah. When I was young, no, I did not. I was like, I got it all. I know everything.
You guys are dumb.
You have no idea. I'm young. You're old. You're a loser. You're a has-been. But now I'm like willing. And I think that might be humility. I don't know. Well, all I know is we've taken up all of your time, and we are thankful that you came and listened to us today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's been a while.
It's been a while. We like having you on.
Nice to be on.
It's great to have you on. Will you come on again?
Sure. Hope everybody has a great week.
Thank you. Everybody have a great week. And he is here. It's just our timing never works. He's always doing something. I'm doing something else. So it never works when we do the timing.
Busy lives. Yeah.
Busy lives from Busy Living Sober. Please reach out if you have any comments, concerns, questions, anything good, bad, or indifferent. You can always reach me at Bizzy, BIZZY, at Busy, BUSY, living, LIVING, sober, SOBER.com. And to make it even easier, you could do Elizabeth at elizabethchance.com. Both of them will work and get me to the same place.
And
And
she would love to hear from you.
I love to hear from people. You
Mhm.
don't understand. It makes my day. It makes my week lots of times. So just remember that you're not alone and you don't have to do this by yourself. You don't have to do this and you don't. The only thing you have to do perfect is not pick up that drink. You can do everything else can be a total mess, but just don't pick up a drink.
Mhm.
And you're going to add those days and then it gets easier. 90 days, get to that 90-day mark, I promise. And if you like it, please subscribe to my channel and share it with anybody you know. And until next time, keep getting busy, living sober. Bye, everybody. Take care. Thanks again, JF.
You're welcome.